mountains. It was completely flat. And on the bottom of the seafloor, that's how this shale was formed. It was actually the seafloor that hardened into rock over time. What we find in shale is a lot of evidence of aquatic life, marine life. So we find mosasaur bones, mosasaur teeth, those are aquatic lizards. We find plesiosaurs like the Elasmosaurus, the swimming animals with the long, long necks, sort of looks like a Loch Ness monster. We find animals that look like a huge barracuda with teeth about 20 feet long. Prehistoric sharks. Seashells, we've seen shark teeth here, we've seen ammonite seashells, the swirly Q ones. All sorts of evidence of marine life here in the rocks. Now this inland seaway was around for a long time. Sometimes it covered more area, sometimes it covered less, depending on all sorts of factors. And as the Rocky Mountains were uplifted 70 million years ago, all this rock was tilted as you see it today on the hill. I'm going to point out right here, this is a different type of rock. It looks very different, different color, different texture than what we were just looking at, right? Mm-hmm. This is sandstone. And what sandstone is exactly that. It's sand that has cemented and hardened into stone over time. Sandstone. So if that shale was on the bottom of the Western Interior Seaway, the sandstone was on the beach. This was the edge of it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can actually see evidence of the water on the rocks. You guys see the texture? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Those are caused by waves. Those are ripple marks made from waves washing onto the beach. Mm. So you can see the little wavy marks. That is evidence of what this area used to look like in the Cretaceous. Much closer to the equator than it is today. So what I'm going to point out here is those lines, those grooves in the rocks, and the indentations cutting back and forth. Those are impressions of mangrove trees. Has anyone ever seen a mangrove tree? Now, do you guys know where they grow? Where do mangrove trees grow? Near the ocean, like Florida, down in the tropical environments of the Florida Keys, for example. The beach. So this
the Amazon rainforest.
Very possibly things like mangroves down there. I'm not really sure, but probably. But it'll show you a picture on the sign here of what mangrove trees look like. Lots of branches all over the place. Well, those branches fell in the sand, made those impressions, and were preserved over time. So that's a trace fossil. Impressions of these mangrove trees in the sandstone. Now up here on our right, we're going to see a lot of trace fossils known as footprints. This is our main track site right here. Best preserved track site in North America. There are over 330 footprints on the hillside here. Let's go ahead and hop out and explore. I'll tell you all about them. Yes. So some of the best tracks that I can point out and reach are actually on this side. So if you guys want to kind of come this way, you can probably see them a little bit better.
I can even like, what is that?
There's a curious animal right here. Yeah, did you make any footprints? In his natural habitat, that's right.
The walk.
All right, do you guys remember that first statue in the parking lot? What was the name of that first statue?
Dinosaurs.
Iguanodon.
Iguanodon.
That's a good, cool dinosaur. but
Iguanodon.
that's not the statue we saw. Iguanodon, that's right. So if you have a seat, I can point things out and then I will let everybody climb and explore. Here is an example of a footprint from the back foot of an iguanodon. An iguanodon with the big back feet, the 3 toes that we saw in the parking lot. This is an iguanodon footprint. The front foot, remember what that looked like? Sort of like a hoof. So here's what it did. Walked on all 4s. You got the big back foot, front hoof. Big back foot, front hoof. You guys see that? You can follow the tracks all the way across the hillside. I do want to point out that this dinosaur was not walking uphill. Remember? This was flat, and it was the beach on the side of that ocean. Okay? So the dinosaurs were walking on the beach, and later on they were uplifted. This area was uplifted. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So we have the big footprints right here, and right next to them we have a 3-toed footprint that's a lot smaller. Do you see that?
Baby.
Yeah.
Big footprint? You got it. This is a baby iguanodon.
Big footprint. Baby. Big.
The babies were walking right next to their parents, so it gives you an idea about dinosaur behavior. Dinosaurs raised their babies, just like your moms and dads raise you, right? Yeah. So that one, that was made in the 1950s. Somebody loved that iguanodon footprint so much they decided to take it home. They took a hammer and a chisel and they took it right out of the rock and they stole it.
Oh no.
They took that dinosaur footprint. Have any of you visited the exhibit hall yet?
Not yet.
Yes? Now that footprint was returned to us in the early 2000s.
Oh.
It's on display in our exhibit hall. It's
Oh.
broken in half. It's the one that was broken in half. There was a young man who came up here in early 2000s and he said he was a student up at Colorado State University in Fort Collins. And there's this really cool rock and it was serving it as a doorstop up at the university. It was holding a door open. And he brought the rock down to us and he asked if maybe we could tell him something about it. And of course, we said, yes, we can tell you all about it. It belongs right here. So he donated it back and we have it on display in the exhibit hall. Now there's another type of dinosaur footprint that you might see. It's from a dinosaur called an ornithomimus. Ornithomimus means bird mimic, yes.
What's ornithomimus mean?
Ornithomimus. Ornitho means bird. Mimus means mimic. It's bird-like. So the dinosaur looked like a really tall ostrich, basically. And it had feet with long, slender toes. 3 like this, like most birds look like. You can imagine what it looked like, and here are its footprints. Yep, there's another one. You're right. There's another one back here. Do you guys see the ornithomimus footprint?
There's one over here.
So you are welcome to explore the footprints, take pictures, climb up here carefully. You're not allowed to get hurt on my tour, that's a rule.
You can take a picture first. I can go. Plus.
Jadi akhirnya yang binatang ini nggak ada.
So you guys see the Here's some of the best preserved ripple marks in the whole world.
Oh, look at it. It's actually like water.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's water.
And look at the way the sun is hitting it with the shade. It really looks like water.
Oh, yeah. I like it. It's just not blue like that.
Yeah.
It's not feeling it.
Soon I was going to try. It gets that feeling that you
Road cuts right here. You can see the angle of the rocks, how they were uplifted and tilted up. On this side of the hill, the rock's a lot older. It's a different layers of rock. It's the older rocks that are underneath. dinosaur from a different time period altogether. This is the Jurassic time period. Much of these rocks are approximately 150 million years old. You can see that they're very, very different from the rocks where we just were. All the colors, the texture, everything's different. So back in the Jurassic time period, this area was more like an African savanna. There were wet seasons and dry seasons, and a series of network of rivers that crisscrossed the area. They left river soil and sediments all over, and eventually that hardened into rock and becomes this kind of mudstone that we see. This is our second stop. These are the Brontosaurus Bulges, and we'll get out and I can show you what we're looking at. Come on up. So this is the Brontosaur Bulges. This is an interesting area because this was a whole lot of sedimentary rock that was laid on top of each other like this. You can see the layers in the rock. And if you follow a sedimentary rock layer, it should be pretty uniform, pretty consistent. But as we're following this layer, yeah. You guys want to help me follow a rock layer here? Do this, follow this rock layer. And you're going to see that every once in a while there's something weird that happens, like this big bump that doesn't... I did that earlier too, let me use that one. Big bump that doesn't seem like it belongs here, right? And then keep following this rock layer. You guys can put your hands and follow. You see another big bump?
No, it's just
right here.
straight down.
How about right here?
Yeah.
It's a big bump right here.
Yeah, but it's like a straight down.
Yeah, a little bit
You have
down.
to go straight up.
If you look down under here, you're going to see another one. Right here.
I know. Right here.
And yeah, you got it. There's another one right there. These are dinosaur footprints. Now, it's either from a small Apatosaurus, a small Brontosaurus, something like that, or maybe from a Stegosaurus. They lived at this time period. You are looking at these from the side. Okay? So a dinosaur comes and walks in the wet river soil and pushes down that wet, sloppy mud and makes a hole.
Oh.
And the hole is later filled in with sand and sediment, and it hardens into rock over a long, long period of time. So basically what you're seeing is the depression that dinosaur made filled in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to see a bunch of them. Now, I would like to find if any of our little scientists here can find our big Brontosaurus footprint. See if you guys can find our big dinosaur footprint. You got it. That's right. That's great. Oh, good for him. See, look at this, guys. This is a dinosaur footprint. Just one dinosaur footprint right here. Huge.
Yeah.
Made by some kind of sauropod similar to this. Now, honestly, we're not really sure if it was an Apatosaurus, a Brontosaurus, a Brachiosaurus, a Camarasaurus, Camarasaurus. I always say that wrong. But basically, it's a big, huge footprint. And there's another one right here.
Far down.
These dinosaurs were very, very large. They could be 90 feet long, 40 tons. And that's not even the biggest dinosaur that ever existed. Smack dab in the middle of the boulder like that. There's a little plaque you can read about it. And then I can meet you all down at the fossil yard, the boneyard down there. Now, if you love the bus and for whatever reason you want to ride the bus, I'm happy to take you. Otherwise, I'll meet you down there.
Can we take the bus?
Sometimes they have like
I found the ball. I found the wall, climbed the wall that
oh, those are rocks. This is our boneyard. This is where we find many, many dinosaur fossils. It was discovered in 1876. So, long time ago, there was a guy that came out here, Arthur Lakes. He was working up at the Colorado School of Mines in Golden, before it was actually called the Colorado School of Mines. And he was a botanist, so he came down here looking for plant fossils. And it turns out what he found instead were hundreds of dinosaur fossils. Discovered new species of dinosaurs, like our state fossil, the Stegosaurus. Like the Allosaurus, Diplodocus, and Apatosaurus. So several different new species of dinosaurs were discovered here. Now this area was the site of a river that washed down all sorts of things, like rocks and branches and dinosaur bones. And when they were deposited out, real quick explanation of what fossilization is, the material in the bone itself decays, decomposes over time, and it's replaced by minerals in the groundwater. So the groundwater has trace amounts of minerals in it, and as the groundwater sits on the organic material of the bone goes away, replaced by minerals in the groundwater. So eventually what you get is not a bone anymore, but the fossil remains of a bone. So what makes it dark brown and maroon is silica. There's a lot of silica in these fossils. And once you start seeing a few of them, you'll start seeing a lot. They're all over. You can find them throughout the rocks all over. See if you guys can find some fossils.
What is this book?
Calcite, it's a mineral that when it rains seeps out of the rocks and it covers, you could actually, it's just on the surface there. That's calcite.
Over here?
Yeah, that's right. You found some fossils. There's a whole bunch of little
See,
pieces.
there's a fossil right here, buddy.
What?
This is a bone. Right here, this is a fossil.
I found a bone.
Bone fragments.
Oh, and I found a
Different dinosaurs all mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
I found this bone and this. That bone down
Yeah.
They're
Guys, here's a
super.
big one right here.
Look how big these are.
Yeah.
These
You guys
ones
see
are
them?
huge.
That one's our biggest. So the biggest bone, what is that? The biggest bone, without climbing up on here, is this one right here.
Yeah, that's like a baby dinosaur. That's like a dolphin.
It does look like a femur. I think what they've decided on, the paleontologists who work at the Morrison Natural History Museum, is the ischium, which is the bone in some dinosaurs that goes down like that to their tail. So the other half of those bones are in a boulder that has fallen out of the hillside long ago. So this boulder has a lot of fossils in it. The other half of that big ischium bone that we're just seeing is right here. Do you see this
Okay.
long tapering one that kind of comes to a point there?
Yeah.
It looks like a tailbone. It could also be a rib, right? Now, I know for sure this is a Stegosaurus plate. I'm going to trace the outline for you. So it's a Stegosaurus plate, like that. Does that make sense? Sideways, and I'm tracing the outline. Fossilized Stegosaurus plate.
This has got ripped off at the bottom.
Can I show you one of my favorites? Just back a few steps. Sorry, I'm backtracking. Don't climb up on this area. Okay, make sure everyone's safe. Alright, so there's this little circle here, this circle bone, with a part of it sticking straight out at the end. Can you think of any bone in your body kind of shaped like a circle with a little heart sticking out? Yeah, it's a bone. You have a bunch of them stacked on top of each other. Vertebrae. It's your backbone. It's a vertebrae. This is a cross section of a dinosaur vertebrae. Pretty cool, huh? Oh, I don't know. They're probably mixed in there somewhere. Bits and pieces. They might have been broken up. Yeah, that one's cool.
Yeah. It was just crazy to imagine how many are actually hiding in there.
So this is not an active dig site anymore. We do have a couple quarries where they're still pulling a few things out, but this is just here in the side of the hill to be an outdoor museum for people to come and explore and learn.
Ooh, so there's a fossil over here.
Yeah, I bet there is.
Yeah.
There is.
All I found were these dinosaurs, no plants.
Can you imagine? I tell people I'm happy if I find a seashell on the beach, and this guy discovered hundreds of dinosaur bones. You know, it's not too bad.
It's like the guy who discovered like the giant thing of Ammonites. Like that's literally this big and it's just.
Oh, giant
Ammonites.
ammonites? That'd be so cool.
It's just like small ammonites on top.
But a whole
each
bunch of
other.
them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll make our way back to the bus. On the way down, you can take a closer look at these fossils here. There are some in the other boulder on the right as well.
Okay, that's
bone fragment right here. We don't really know what it's from, but it's a huge bone fragment. You can
I know it's like.
touch the side of it. Oh no, that's just where it broke off. But this is like a broken piece of a bone. Here's one right here.
I don't know which ones they are.
It's hard to know unless you take them out of the rock and measure them, right? And if they're all broken up and all you got is little pieces, it's really hard to tell.
It's like we need all of the spine fragments to tell which dinosaur.
Nice.
Teeth are sharp because they were in life, because in life they were like steak knives.
Right, yeah.